hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe, and in today's video I want to do something special, a little bit special, because I want to talk about the books that I still want to read this year. I have a list of books that I want to finish by the end of the year, and most of the books on this list now are books that I have on my 22 books I want to read in 2022. I posted this video earlier this year, or in the end of last year, I can't remember, but I posted this list and I talk in depth about, not really in depth about a book, but I talk about 22 books that I want to read, and I read so far a few books on this list, but there's still a few left, and we have 3 months left of this year, and I want to share with you which books are left on this list, and also additions, what I also want to read this year. And I think I stop talking now and we'll talk about the books, okay? Let's start with a book that is not on this list, but I still want to read still this year. I'm currently reading this, so there's a high chance that I still finish this book this year. And this is Babel from Eric Kwang. I think it did in the end of last year a Poppy War read-along vlog. Actually not, because I only posted I think the first video and I never edited the second and the third one. But I have mixed feelings of the whole Poppy War trilogy. I don't think the Poppy War trilogy is bad. It's just not my type of fantasy that I enjoy. It's like this grimdark fantasy. I don't enjoy that kind of style. But this one here is not in grimdark fantasy. It's more dark academia. I started this and I'm really enjoying this book so far. I'm in the 3rd chapter, but also it's a lot, and I started reading this on audiobook, which is heavy because you have a lot of languages in the story and you hear the footnotes. The book has footnotes. I hate footnotes, but it's okay in this book. But so far I'm really enjoying the story and I can't wait to finish this. What's going on in Babel? In Babel it's about Robin. He is a boy from China, and in 1829 he goes with this Englishman to England, and he got raised by this man and got the education to go to Babel, to Oxford, to study there, and he needs to be the best of all. And you follow another story. I don't know what's going on more in the story because I also don't want to hear about this. So far it's really interesting. Also like the mention of racism in the beginning of the story is really harsh and it breaks my heart already. And after reading 3 books from her first trilogy, I know that this book will also break my heart, so I can't wait that it gets shattered. But okay, then the next book that I have here is, this is the German edition, so don't get confused, but this is Words of Radiance. This is the 2nd book in the Stormlight Archives book from Brandon Sanderson. And this is only the first half of the book. The other one is somewhere in between the books on my TBR shelf. But I picked the right one out. Why didn't I read it so far? Because I read The Way of Kings last year in September. This was the first high fantasy book that I ever read. That's not completely true. I read the first half of the first book from Game of Thrones. But what I can say about The Way of Kings is that I enjoyed this a lot more than I did with the Game of Thrones books. The Way of Kings, you have in there multiple perspectives. It's a lot of world building. It's about war. It's about seeing different perspectives from first a king that is a leader of this war, and then also people that are fighting in this war. And it broke my heart. I love it. I had a great time reading this, but it took me a really long time. I think I read this book 2 months. And I was glad when I finally finished this. But this book is also long. Like, I think the English version has 1,200 pages, and the German one is even bigger because German has a lot of words for everything. So I was scared to read Words of Radiance, and now I'm in this place that I don't know what's going on in The Way of Kings, and I'm scared to read The Way of Kings again, but I think there's no way out. I'll read a summary, but I have Words of Radiance here and can't wait to read this. This is a book that I can see that I don't read this this year. I have on this list Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Don't know what's going on in this one, honestly, but I think it's a sad book about a gay person. Here. Engaging with themes of identity, diversity and freedom to choose. Yeah, it will break my heart. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on in Radio Science, but I know what's going on in the Book of Two Ways by Jodi Picoult. In the Book of Two Ways, a woman named Dawn, and she helps people to find a good way to death, like prepare for a good death. She gets in this life dangerous situation, and she sees her life like a movie in front of her eyes, but it's not her life that she has in Boston. It's the life that she could have in Egypt 15 years ago with the career she loved. I don't try to pronounce it. I write it here, okay? I can't say it, okay? And a man she loved, and I think we follow the story. I'm really excited to read this. Actually, I only bought this for the cover, but okay. What I also have on this list, back then when I filmed this video, I didn't have the copy here because it got published this year, and it's Bladebreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I got the signed edition from Waterstones, which is something I actually cried about it when I opened it, and I think it's stunning. What's going on in Rimbreaker? Rimbreaker, you have in the story also multiple POVs in the story. You have the main character in the story is Coraine. She is the secret daughter of someone, and she is to be chosen. She is the chosen one to save the world from her uncle. And you follow also the story from the Queen of Alward, and also Coraine goes on a mission to save the kingdom and to save the world. And on this mission she has multiple people that joined her, and it's the book is inspired by Lord of the Rings and Guardians of the Galaxy. So I reread Rimbreaker this month just to get a bit of a refresh what's going on in the story, and after my second reread I definitely see the comparison to Lord of the Rings with all the people that join her and the walk to the place where she can save the kingdom. And I enjoyed this, and I can't wait to read Bladebreaker. Also, a book that I have here is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is, I think, the second to last book that I need to read from her, and from her main novels. I think I have only Sense and Sensibility and Nothing Abbey left. And then I think I read every other book from her novels. I think she has like short stories like Lady Susan and stuff like that, but they are not really counting to the big 6 novels that she published. And I wanted to read Sense and Sensibility. Did I read that so far? No, because I read Persuasion instead of Sense and Sensibility because of the new Persuasion movie. But honestly, I'm excited to read this. I don't know what's going on in the story. Also, this is also the kind of type of style where I don't want to know what's going on in the story. But I'm excited to read this. Then we have on this list Redemption by Jennifer Armentrout. The English version is not Redemption. I don't know why Germany thought, yes, we switched out the actually English name with a different English title. So yeah, but the book is called The Brightest Night. It's the Origin 3 book. This is the spin-off series to the Lux series. I enjoy the Lux series. I love it. I read all the fan fictions I could find in German back then when I read the Lux series. And then she came out with the Origin series, which is a spin-off. I would not read this. If you want to read the Lux series and you haven't read the Lux series yet, I would not read the Origin series because it will spoil heavily. And I started reading this, and then it took a really long time for Jennifer Armentrout to publish the next books in the series. To the point where I thought she will never finish the series. And so I put this book that I still need to read, this is the third one, on this list, and I said to myself, I will only read this year if the next book gets announced in this year. So I don't read this and then the next book don't get announced, or like if maybe she cancels the whole series. And when I remember this back correctly, she announced kind of the fourth book. So I'm excited. Originally there was planned 5 books and she pushed it down to 4 books, which is kind of unusual for Jennifer Armentrout, because normally she's like, I write a trilogy and then make 6 books out of this series. Like she did with From Blood and Ash. But okay, I'm not judging you. Kind of, but I'm not judging you. And it got kind of announced. At least on the website it says coming soon. So I hope it's 2024. But this should be a quick read. Maybe I'll read a summary from the last 2 books and then I start reading this. But I have something in the back of my mind what's going on in the story. At least I know the couple. So that's all I need to know for the story. That at least I know the couple. And the last book on this list for this whole 22 books I want to read in 2022. I'm a little bit ashamed that this is still on this list and I haven't read it yet. And this is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Renee Edo Lodge. I have this book for a long time now on my list. I am so long that there's like a Christmas bookmark from my bookstore in it. This is how long I have the book now, and I think my original plan was to read this 2021. It's okay. I got a Christmas bookmark in November 2021. I'm not joking. I have the receipt here. Okay, but I heard a lot of great things about this book. Honestly, non-fiction books are kind of hard sometimes to read, and I try to read more non-fiction, but I definitely want to read this still this year. I don't want to push this over to next year's list. I will read this year, okay? I think the title is pretty self-explanatory. It's about white privilege and stuff like that, and I'm really excited to see this. Maybe it's something eye-opening for me, at least for Elle. The newspaper said it was eye-opening. I hope it's eye-opening for me, because I think as a white person I can learn still a lot of things. So, and then on the last book on this list is The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni. Yeah, what can I say? I read The Prison Healer. This was a German arc that I got earlier this year. Loved it, 5 stars. I think, I don't know. I love this. I think it was YA fantasy, but in a good way and much darker than actually YA fantasy is. And I really enjoyed this because it wasn't the brim to, it's one adult book, but you can't really say it's an adult book because adult fantasy is white man only kind of territorium, and that's not like really women authors in it. And then I read The Gilded Cage, and normally I, you know me, or at least I can tell you that I know me. I don't like this second book in the series, in the trilogy. It's kind of lacking every time for me. But this one, The Gilded Cage, 5 stars for me. I loved it. I cried so hard multiple times. And if I'm crying in a book, this is the 5 stars, because normally my eyes are always wet and I cry a lot in day-to-day life. So okay, that's getting kind of deep. And my original plan was to read right after The Gilded Cage, The Blood Trader. The thing is, like I said, it's dark, and honestly I couldn't handle reading The Blood Trader right after The Gilded Cage. I still have like branded in my brain what was going on in The Gilded Cage. So I think I can go right back into The Blood Trader, but oof, this book, my heart was shattered. The Prison Healer. I think the Prison Healer is so funny to talk about because you can really understand what's going on in... I tell you what's going on in Prison Healer, but I can tell you that the second book is already totally different story. It's like explaining people what Throne of Glass is about, because it's given in the same direction. But we have Kira, who is in the prison, and she is the prison healer. Like the title says, she's a prison healer, and she heals persons that are going into prison, or like in a prison. It's really hard there. And one day, the Rebel Queen shows up in the prison, and the Rebel Queen should take part in a trial, and if the Rebel Queen survives this trial, she can leave the prison, and if not, she will die. But not that she gets executed, because the trial is so bad and so horrible that normally no person survived this. At least after the second task, they are already dead. But the Rebel Queen can take part in this trial, so Kira decides that she will take part in this trial for the Rebel Queen, and so the story goes on. So we know in the third book, the story is not like that anymore. But yeah, I'm really excited to read all the books. I think the most things is that these books are left because like most of the books, at least except for like the Book of Two Ways and Radio Silence, all of the books are hard and big. Not that we have really a problem with it, but I think you understand why the books are left on this list. So let me know in the comments what you want to read still this year, and then I'm excited to see you in my next videos. So yeah, I wish you a great day whenever you watch this. Bye!